Perhaps, if I may start with this, in terms of the law, right? The Essential Services Committee may only determine a service as essential, where in terms of Section 213 of the Act, it can be shown that an interruption of that service would, one, endanger the life, personal safety, or health of the whole or any part of the population.
That is correct, Vuyo. In terms of the committee, for us to designate any service as essential, we basically have to look at that definition, and that is what is guiding us when we designate a service as an essential service.
Well, let's come then to the submission, that has got a lot of people talking, that brought us to where we are today, and you and I standing here and talking. Does the DA's submission meet that basic requirement?
I think, Vuyo, we need to look at it in terms of what the notice was that went out. So the DA made this application, but we also had another application from another school where essentially what was being said was that we must designate the services rendered by educators and the support staff at schools as an essential service. So when the notice went out, it basically had those terms of reference. Now, when the public hearing started, we are having the last one tomorrow, and these started some time ago. When the first hearing started, it then became very clear that the request is not for the committee to designate all these services as essential, but rather the request now was that certain services, for instance, insofar as educators are concerned, it only covers the SMT, which is the principal, the deputies, and the HODs. So it does not talk to all educators. So, and there is a concession already to say educators, it cannot be said that educators are rendering an essential service. So the only application relates to those. And the application then relates to the nutrition that is offered at schools. And they also refer to, in respect of early childhood learning centers, they are referring to those who are in authority and the cleaning, in all the schools. So the difficulty, or one cannot say that it does not meet the requirements, and one cannot say that it does. Obviously, and that is why the committee is going through these investigations, because what we're trying to check is whether when you apply the test that you've correctly mentioned at the beginning of the interview, can it be said that this application meets that? And remember, when we do this, we also have to look at as to whether is there an alternative, because if there is no alternative, so even if life may be endangered, but if there's an alternative, then one cannot designate. Because I think it's important that we understand that when we're dealing with these kinds of designation, we're taking away a fundamental right, or we're limiting a fundamental right that employees have, which is the right to strike. Now,
when you say there's a concession, are you saying that even the DA accepts that whatever the outcome of this, it would have to be limited to the categories you mentioned, like HODs, principals, and vice principals, but also some of the people who provide food and nutrition to the pupils?
That is the position at the moment.
And the DA has accepted this?
The DA has accepted this. In the public hearings, all the hearings that have been happening, the DA has conceded that in terms of even the ILO standards, education is not an essential service.
Now, have you heard from SATU, for example? And what I'm trying to get at is whether SATU too accepts that, after all, their fear may be exaggerated in that you're not talking about all teachers.
Yes, we have heard from SATU, and again, I do not intend to bring the submissions here, but as to whether the fear is exaggerated, even the services that the DA is talking about, the position of SATU is that even those services should not be designated as essential service. And a point is made that, for instance, if you look at nutrition, a point is made that nutrition is not offered in all the schools. And it's offered in certain schools it's not offered. Even where it is offered, there are times where it's not offered, for some time because of budgetary constraints of government and all those other issues. So, but SATU has heard that in terms of the educators, the application is not about the education, and they have responded as well insofar as the other services that the DA is talking about.